The book is set in 1890s in London, in the 1890s in London. I'd written about Victorian London before in the Sally Lockhart books, starting with The Ruby and the Smoke. Those were a little bit earlier, about 20 years or so earlier than this one. I like writing about Victorian London, Victorian times in general, because there are several things to help you as a writer. Firstly, photographs. We don't know what people really looked like in Elizabethan times or in the Middle Ages, because there are no photographs. And the only drawings, the only paintings that were made were of rich people who could afford to have their portraits painted. So we don't know what ordinary people looked like in Shakespeare's time, for example. But from the middle of the 19th century, we do, because there are hundreds of thousands, probably millions of photographs of real Victorian people in real settings like streets and workhouses and pubs and so on. And you can get such a lot from looking at their faces and from looking at their clothes and seeing the sort of settings they were in. It's a wonderful visual aid for anyone who's writing a story set in those times. And also there are maps. The Ordnance Survey maps are wonderful. I used them a great deal when I was writing these books and the Sally Lockhart books, because you've got every single street down there and interesting looking places like the Animal Charcoal Works. What on earth was that? I don't know, but I set a scene from the Animal Charcoal, from the Ruby and the Smoke in the Animal Charcoal Works. And for the New Cut gang, I'm using a part of London that, well, it's still called The Cut, actually. It's a street in South London where the Old Vic Theatre is. In those days it was called the New Cut because it had just been made. It's an exciting place if you're a child in the 1890s. There are all sorts of things to do, marketplaces to run through and upset the stalls of and annoy people. There's the Old Vic Theatre. And of course, as every child knows, wherever you are, there are friends you have and people you don't know. There are gangs you might belong to or not belong to. And some of them are good and some of them are not so good, and they're all it's pulsating with life anyway. That's how I see Lambeth in the 1890s.